In this episode of Royal Revelations, astrologer Val Evans opens the book on the royal family. Is Prince William blessed with enormous potential, or will other issues reveal themselves that are tied to his mum, Princess Diana?
There is a storm ahead. This isn't going to end. A lot of jealousy. Today, we're going to review the astrological charts and tarot to find clues about the life of a very famous man with a destined life. If you're curious about this channel, we use timestamps to draw a picture of the sky at the time of whether it's a person's birth or a crime. So you just need to know somebody to guide you, like me, to decode the sky to get clues and symbols. Thanks for hitting the like button. We're going to get right into it. I think we should draw a card for the beginning of the show. Let's see what we're working with. You know, it's Monday afternoon. Why not talk about the royals? And here is our first card. Oh God, this is very interesting. This is a card. This is going to be an upset, it looks like, of something that's coming in. And it has to do with the royal family. Now, if you were to see the Six of Swords upright, this would be a situation where you got through it. You have stability after everything is settled. The dust has settled. But when it's reversed, this could mean that there's going to be some dust for a little bit. It's very difficult. It's very difficult for Prince William and his family with what he's going through. He is in a sixth house profection year. Now, the sixth house is the house of service, and it's also the house where you tackle health issues. So far, we can see that he is dealing with some health issues with his bride, Prince Catherine. Got a lot of stories today for you guys. Now, first of all, this is really the reality for Prince William. You've got to really do some observing of people's lives, what they have around them. So you're going to see a lot of Capricornian things, lots of palaces, which would represent Saturn. And then you've got soldiers marching in and out. You've got lots of people, tourists. This is his life. This is his normal life. So that would be Mars. So Saturn and Mars is going to be quite prominent when it comes to the theme for Prince William and for his family. Prince of Wales, this is his birth chart, and you can see him here with his mom, Princess Diana, and this is his birth chart, and there's Prince Charles, his dad. The ascendant for him is in Sagittarius, and Sagittarius people, they can be fiery, they can be adventurous, they feel mostly optimistic. They think big, and being a royal, you really need to think big. He is a sun in Cancer, and he's got a stellium, surprisingly, meaning 3 or more planets in Cancer. Usually when I see that in a birth chart, it's someone who has psychic powers. Funny enough, you don't think of Prince William when you think of psychic or extreme intuition, but he has a lot of intuition. And Cancer also represents mom. So it could be thoughts about mom, talking about mom, remembering mom, lots of mom types of themes. It's interesting to see Diana presenting Prince William in the 80s in a green dress. And then you see her in a red outfit with Harry. So it's almost like green means go. And then you see Diana with the red outfit with Harry. He would be a redhead. He would be fiery. He would say, no, this is not okay. And he'd put the brakes on. I was really interested today trying to figure out why Prince William's sign for his father is not in a great spot in his chart. It is in the area of ALGOL. Venus represents father in Prince William's chart because it's the Lord of the Fourth. And it is conjunct 25 degrees Chiron, many wounds associated with his dad. I was thinking, did Prince Charles have an accident? Because you can see an opposition to the planet that represents accidents. And of course, Sagittarius represents horses. And games and polo would be more Leo, but it's still a horse. So it's like a horse accident. King Charles had several injuries throughout the years. One polo accident left him with constant pain in his neck. So you can see how that would play out in Prince William's chart. Saturn is the institution. Mars is war. Saturn means a long period of time. It means a long war. Saturn also means Cold War. So these are the Cold War days. This is when he was born. So to go back a second, we want to see where the Lord of his ascendant is, to see really what's his personality, who he is. His sun in Cancer will represent his body and how people, basically his physicality. But Jupiter retrograde is really his personality, and it would be in Scorpio. This is a very, very deep thinker. And what do we say when we've got a planet in retrograde? Well, it's somebody who has flaws, who is at minimal capacity for whatever reason, who has trouble. Thankfully, he has help. So that's going to help him, is represented by Jupiter retrograde. And right next to him, who's that? That's Pluto, representative of the 10th house, which is mom. Does this reveal that Prince William is sitting next to the symbol of a person that was murdered? Pluto represents homicide. So he's got mom right next to him, at least for a period of his life. Now, mom, Saturn is going to be right behind her. So mom, there's going to be a lot, especially in the news. 9th house is news. So throughout his life, it's got to be so difficult. It's a long period of time in the news being associated with mom and her death, and maybe things that she did, Pluto, that might have the betrayals and the revenge and all of that. Keep in mind that Pluto is also retrograde. So he and his mom were both at lower capacity, being around all of this Saturnian energy. It made them weak. You're not as strong as you could be. And that'll be out throughout your life. However, the progressed charts sometimes will change those planets so that suddenly you become Jupiter direct, in the middle of your life, and then you feel a little bit stronger. The same thing opposite that is you are born with Jupiter, but then suddenly you become sick, or maybe things kind of change a little bit in your life, and you look at your progressed chart and your planet, might not be Jupiter, turns retrograde. So that can be tough unless you've got a lot of support, meaning trines and sextiles from you. Look at how his mom is right next to him, and interesting how she represents Pluto, because that is the revenge planet. And also the big point I wanted to make was, what is Libra? This is a marriage. Saturn and Mars is a long, difficult marriage. And that's what he was born in the middle of. Lots of betrayals and lies and secrets and 8th house stuff. And it would be for all to see. That 9th house is the press. So very difficult for him. The other thing that I noticed too, what's probably difficult, is he's got such good intuition. He might even be able to channel his mom, because his mom was up here, and look at how there's a trine with his mother. There's something where she might be able to give him some kind of guidance there. That's what that point of Thales shows. But you can't help but notice that opposition right here with whoever this is. And this could be the institution. This is Capricorn. This is Black Moon Lilith. And Black Moon Lilith, we don't like Black Moon Lilith because it's a shady character, somebody who's in his ear constantly. It almost reminds me of like Scientology with Tom Cruise and somebody saying, with an earpiece saying, well, we need to go here, we need to go there. For him, it's definitely somebody who has big influence with the government. I mean, heck, it could be the prime minister, I don't know, but it's somebody who's around him who is very, very successful. Part of fortune is success. 2 degrees is as successful as you can be. Capricornian energy is also paternal energy as well. And there's a lock of heads here. Whatever he has in his mind, Prince William, to use his inner voice, to use what his mom is kind of helping him go towards. There's somebody that's saying, no, we don't think that's a good idea. Maybe we should think of something else. And then they think of the idea. It seems like that, he's being put into this box of rules. It can be maddening sometimes because those rules can backfire on him and he gets angry, and rightly so. Vertex means the point of the chart. So, and for him, it would be family, it would be being a royal, it would be being a king. I mean, you can't help but look at ALGOL, which is losing one's head, the devil degree. His dad is in there, and it's opposing Uranus, which is accident. The 11th house is hopes and dreams. Could this mean that dad had interrupted his hopes and dreams, the 11th house hopes and dreams, because of maybe a foreign accident? With Sagittarius is foreign, Uranus is an accident. It's just something that you can't help but think about. It's definitely associated with Prince Charles as this accident. Jupiter is going to represent how Prince William thinks, acts, and Pluto next to Jupiter is a lot of revenge, feeling, and also a lot of jealousy. There are going to be things that are very close to him in his life where he's seeing people being able to do things that he can't. And that's going to be difficult for him. Because of this trine and the sextile here, it's a little bit easier. But as an example, it would be like his brother. His brother would just make him crazy. And his brother's up here. Mars is right up here. And this would be a long war with brother. So I'm seeing almost a carbon copy of the energy with his parents and the energy with brother. Why is Mars the brother? Because it's the lord of the third house of siblings, which is Aries, and shows a profile. Aries is red hair. It's somebody who served in the military. And it's areas where you can get pretty irritated with someone when you have that house filled up with Aries. It can be quite a challenge. There is Mercury. Mercury in Gemini is very good. It's a great communication. It is, for the most part, a great relationship. But the ninth house is really going to affect their relationship, the ninth house of press. And, it's very tough for them because they have to be out there as brothers in this long war in the newspapers. Very difficult. And it's squaring the moon. This is another planet that represents Princess Diana. So they're not able to have the help. They're not able to have mom. They're not able to get that maternal guidance. That's that square to moon. It's very sad that they don't have that. And they're also squaring the south node. This can be something where you're trying to get rid of something and you can't. Funny that it's in Capricorn. Capricorn is that government, those rules. They just really want to get rid of those rules, but they can't. The ninth house is so important. As I mentioned before, where there was a long war, Saturn long or cold, Mars could be aggravation, war in a marriage around them, which was his parents. They would be battling the institution, or his mom would be battling the institution. But here, it seems as if both Prince William, Jupiter, and Prince Harry, Mars, are battling the press. This is the war for them. It will be the media war. And it's ugly. Now we've got the solar chart for Prince William from 2024 to 2025, and I hope you guys have your tea with you. We are talking about the royals, and I guess we should, before we get to this chart, we should draw a card. So This first card concerns me a little bit because it was reversed, reverse Six of Swords. There is a storm ahead. And we're going to see what William's year looks like month by month with regard to all of 2024, not just his solar return 2024, which starts in July, but all of 2024. What is the biggest challenge for Prince William? This is, you see it? There we go. This is this is being upset, being basically there are things that have happened and he can't change them. And this could be Prince William. This could be his family, where the family is torn apart and dad's not doing so well health wise. His wife is recovering. Things are just, they are going to cause some emotional upheaval, I think, for William, which we do not want. I have a little story about Princess Diana, and I wanted to know you guys where you were, if you were alive at the time, uh, where you were when Princess Diana got married. And I wanted to tell a little story about where I was. I actually have ancestry that goes back to Henry VIII, and it's in Somerset, England. But this story is when I lived in Jersey. And I lived there in the 80s. Well, I went there in the summers to visit my grandparents. And I'll never forget that day in July when Princess Diana got married. And we were very lucky to be able to have a real life princess as little girls or boys who wanted the idea of a real life princess. So we didn't know what she was going to wear. It was a complete fantasy of, being Princess Diana. And so can you imagine? She arrives in that huge dress and it was just unbelievable. And so I think, we, the people who saw her get married, really understand that ninth house of the long war. Saturn and Mars is really going to be prominent, especially Saturn, because the year after year after year of seeing Princess Diana looking so miserable or not looking healthy, and you were always every year thinking, well, maybe things are going to get better. And unfortunately, I feel like this new royal family is kind of in a long war of its own. We'll go to his solar chart, and then I'm going to look at the progress chart for Princess Diana, and I'll show you how I tie that back to, those days when everybody was given this incredible fairy tale story, and we loved it. We bought it hook, line, and sinker until, I got to say, I was really little, and I remember Princess Diana coming down the aisle, and I had been up for hours. We were so excited. She comes up to the aisle, and Charles is just cold. And I remember thinking to myself, and I said to my mom at the time, I said, "Why is he so cold? There's something wrong. He just didn't look like he liked her." And I thought, this isn't a good sign. It's a red flag. LBI, my favorite place on earth. Yes, it was live on television in real time. I mean, I remember my grandfather, he cooked eggs and bacon and pancakes. It was like a whole thing. And I actually did the same thing for Megan. I love royal weddings. Going back to those days, it really speaks to why everybody was so upset and devastated when she left us. So this is the solar return chart for 2024 starting in July. When you look at your solar return chart, you're going to look at the months starting on your birthday. So for him, it's going to be June 21st. And then every house is going to show July 21st, August 21st. So that's how that's going to work. This is going to be July for him. This looks like a lot is going on. And what I'm concerned about for this year for him, it looks chaotic. There are two, you know, you know what the T square is, which is the triangle. The T square is tough. There are some serious, there's a whole bunch of them, it looks like little mini ones, but the big ones are here. We've got the moon in the ninth house. as one huge challenge. And then we've got the fourth house of family, which is another challenge. And you've got a whole bunch of planets in there. So when you're looking at one of these charts, it's like, how do I even start taking this apart? It looks so complicated. But it's kind of like going into the jungle. If you've been in the jungle a lot, you're going to be able to find the path that you need to take if you want to go to the grocery store or if you want to go down to the river, you just automatically know. And that's how you start to get with astrology. It looks crazy, but okay, we want to learn this information so we know to go to this house or this lord of the house. And like I always say, if you really want to understand it in a deeper way, you're going to get to know the lords of these signs. And that's going to really open up your mind and your world, really, in astrology. So, the first thing that we want to look at is the ascendant, is he's going to feel like a Pisces. Ugh, poor guy. And he's going to have Jupiter and Neptune as his ruling planet for that year. Coming up, it's coming up in the summer. I love cancers. Cancers, they like to help. They're giving, they intuitively know what you need. And just they're carers. So what a great sign for a future king to have that cancer type of energy. In this year, we've got Neptune, and I circled that as his ruling planet. We've got an opposition here with Point of Fortune. And we've got Black Moon Lilith in here. So we've got some shady people coming at him here, and I'm going to break it all down to you. His ruling planet is here. This is going to be him the whole year, and Jupiter's going to be him the whole year. This means that everybody is going to be looking at him, maybe being creative, hopefully not sleeping, hopefully not doing drugs, because this is Neptune. Maybe he's going to be, there's going to be photos. We've got Neptune in the first house for Kim Kardashian. So you've got lots and lots and lots of photos. He's in every photo. And that almost is like every year for him. So Neptune is going to be a big planet for him. But why would there be, could this be a photo scandal of some sort with this T square? Photos of his family he does not want out there. That's a possibility. It's kind of appearing and disappearing. Now, why I say family? Because the fourth house is family. But we're going to look at the first month first. And the Lord of the first month is Neptune and Jupiter. So it's going to be kind of half and half. Neptune is in that T square. Jupiter, it's outstanding. And there's going to be something, could be sibling related. It's hard to say because the ruler of the third house for sibling is over here in the fourth house, and it's in that T square. So I think that mainly this T square is probably Harry related. So that's the one side of it. However, with this grand trine, Jupiter, this is, I don't know, this looks like a document type of thing. Lots of documents that he's looking at for some reason. Why documents? Because Gemini is documents. It's going to be something about twins. I don't know. Maybe he's going to be talking about twins. Maybe somebody in his life is having twins. I don't know. But it looks like some good news. There might just be something that's happening to him that's a carbon copy of something he's already experienced in his life. We hope the good stuff. Virgo is part of that T square, and that means service, it means work. It also means partnerships. So he's going to have one partner that is not so good, and then one partner that's really good. He's kind of like 50-50 there. July, his second solar return month, and I'll make this kind of quick, but the second house is his asset house. It's going to be in July, starting July 21st. And I put this in orange. It's There's something that's happening with the fourth house here with it could be military, it could be assets, it could be buys a new car. I don't know, does he buy cars? It could be something very happy where they might be going on vacation or something like that. I'm not sure it does because the second house, it's money, and Mars can be something that has to do with something maybe very expensive that's happening. Vacations are usually the moon, if it's the Lord of the fifth house. So I'm not sure if it's a vacation, but it's something that's family related, and maybe they're going to go visit some kind of military installation or something like that. Now, the third house, this is one house that he's going to be interested in, and that is ruled by Mercury. Mercury is in Cancer. A lot of times when you get planets that are in Cancer, it shows people who are famous or people who will be famous. And that is definitely his brother. We've got Venus next to his brother. It's about a conversation about money. That's what it is. It's all about money because Venus is money, and he's probably fighting. Neptune is also the Netflix and those types of films. He doesn't want him doing any films. So he's like, bro, how am I supposed to make any money? So there seems like there are some big fights there. And that's going to be especially the case. Well, the Lord of the Second is in there. The Lord of the Third is in there. So we've got the summer is going to be a little tense, even September through September, because September rules the fourth house. These are some intense months that are going to have to do with his brother. That long war is not going to end. Now, we're talking about, well, Krissa, you are probably psychic. A lot of people with these planets. I have a moon in Scorpio, so it makes sense that we're interested in eighth house matters. It's not our fault. And we are interested in digging deep and getting to know, what's what? Why are we here? We have questions. A lot of people don't care about those questions, but they don't have much eighth house energy. November, we're getting into Leo territory in November, and we've got the sun back here again. I put that in orange, another tough year. Sixth house, too. This is more work, more duty is coming in November. And then we get into December, more service, which is Virgo. This is service, health, and December, I put in red because there are going to be more conversations with that brother of his. So for for months with for months that he has to talk with Harry, if he does, or if he comes up with an issue, it's going to be June. We're probably going to look at because, and I'm looking at the T square. This is how I'm picking the dates. So you're going to look at what's at the edges of these T scores. So we've got June, September 21st to October 21st, and this is June 21st to July 21st. And this will be December 21st to January 21st. Saturn in the first house can show somebody who is downtrodden, somebody who is kind of depressed and sad. Neptune can be emotional. And so, but at the same time, it could show Saturn is a hard worker. It could represent maybe he is battling on behalf of fishermen's rights or fisheries or something like that, maybe something Pisces. So that could also come true where people are seeing him working. Saturn is working. It's not always sad and it's not always death. It's just putting your head down and working. Yes. Okay. Let me look at this. Everything is happening in my eighth house this year, Cancer rising. And sometimes that can show real estate. If you think of, Kardashians are big Scorpios. So, turn on that show and you'll see so much big real estate. You'll be seeing their homes but sometimes people can disappoint you when there's that eighth house energy. Also psychological stuff too. You're much more interested and I would say very talented. You've got more power in your psychological state of mind. So Ah, your favorite singer, Sister Moon Tarot, and mine too, has Saturn in first house. Got such beautiful music, and she sings in kind of a melancholy way. Saturn in Pisces actually would be great for her because it's kind of a low, melancholy voice with Pisces near the beach. She's always singing around the beach or near the beach, and it's very melodic. So interesting that you say that. It's a good example of kind of the tone. It's sometimes it can just be, it's not super excited this year. At least that's what his first house looks like. There are some exciting things though. He's got that big blue triangle, and that is the great grand trine. Everybody wants the grand trine in any year because it gives you just so much strength. What is that Black Moon Lilith in there? I want to know. This could be partnerships and contracts. So, an example of something like this might be somebody that most people respect, but has a dark side. An example might be a couple of years ago when Elon Musk, before he took over X, uh, I think more people thought highly of him back then, doing some kind of a partnership with somebody like that. But maybe there are people who think that the person might be a little bit shady. So that could be something that describes his seventh house of partnerships. Now, if we want to see where Kate is, we look at Venus. She's she's actually down here talking to Harry, and she's trying to iron things out, I think. There's Cancer. Both are intuitive, both are helpful, both are trying to help each other. And this is a possibility. He might find out that they talked, and he might be very upset about that with this square here. So they are together, they are communicating. Mercury is to communicate. If the third house is represented by Gemini this year, it shows that your sibling does want to communicate. What does he want to communicate? We don't know. He wants to communicate a lot because we've got Jupiter in here and then we've got that grand trine. So this could also represent a lot of what Harry's doing, and Harry's kicking something off. That is a little devious. Look at that. Black Moon Lilith. January 21st to February 21st, led by Scorpio. This is next year, next January. And Pluto is here. Big grand trine. Looks pretty good to me. I put it in for green. February 21st to March 21st. Looks a little tough. It looks tough, but anytime you have a luminary in a house, it's always good. It's just that square with Saturn gives one pause. But Moon in Sagittarius, which is his ascendant ruler naturally, is going to help him. He's going to get some help with something in February, and it also shows that maybe he is going to be doing something international where he's able to help. Now, the North Node is what you're getting this year, and the South Node is what you're leaving behind. In any solar chart, you can look at any real chart and see what you're getting or leaving behind. But this year, it's it's going to change. And the first house, you've got Aries again. So trying to think about what that might be. This could be a foreign home because North Node, if you have this trine here to Moon, this is a house. So this is a possibility that he might have his eye on a new place to live because they are kind of playing musical chairs over there with houses, I think, right now. So this could mean that he is getting a big house. Ooh, I don't know if I like the sound of that. But Sagittarius is a very large house and he's getting something. What is he getting? It's Aries. Is he going to get a red house? Is he going to get a military house? Uh, sure what that is. I'll have to think about it. But it definitely is something substantial. North Node in the first house is it's almost like you're getting a new persona. South Node, when you have that in your first house, is kind of like you're shedding your skin. You're not that person anymore. This is the last year of this person, and you're going to be a new person next year. North Node is you're almost going to get a new personality. And what is that going to be? Will it be Aries related? Will it have something to do with maybe the military, maybe a business? I don't think he can run an LLC, but we'll have to see how that turns out. So March to April, that's ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter looks good. So I put that in green. April 21st to May 21st is ruled by Saturn. Not so good. So that's going to be a tough time next year. I would say for the most part, he's really trying, like, this stuff here is the home. And I think there's a lack of trust there, which would represent that Black Moon Lilith wanting to move forward without that energy, without that shadiness there. It's like you just don't want to partner with someone. You don't want to allow someone in your life when you have that shaky, uneasy feeling. And it seems like that's what he has here. And that's his T square, that big red triangle. And the Neptune, that being his ruler, what's really interesting is he's very creative this year. And there's something that's almost dreamy about him. He actually might be able to get some sleep because he's got a point of Thales, and Pluto is in the middle of that. So it looks like actually with Neptune and Pluto, it looks like the ocean. It looks like someplace tropical he might go to. And that looks very, very successful. So there could be between June and July, there could be kind of like a dip and then a rise. It certainly looks like both are going to happen that month. Lilith is also something we have trouble seeing sometimes, something we aren't able to clearly identify. Exactly. It's very frustrating. It's like this black sheet. And that's the case in crime charts too. It's something where you really want to know what's going on. And if it's in that particular house, it's going to be very difficult to figure out what it is. With him for his solar chart starting in July, for him, it's the seventh house of partnerships. And it's going to be very difficult because there's some good partners that are coming in that have good things to offer. But then there are others that he can't tell if they're good or not. It's going to be hard to distinguish what is what in his partnerships. That he's so frustrated with whatever is going on, maybe Kate talking to Harry or communicating in some way, but he has to hold his tongue because she's the darling of the media, and also because she's the mother of his kids, and he wants to keep a strong family foundation. 77 MCL, is that his marriage? Virgo would be a partner, so Mercury would represent his marriage. Venus too, Venus will represent the wife. So the two planets that represent Kate are both in the fourth house. And it does look very tense starting in June. This could be, now you can see the sun there. The sun rules health. Now, really, if we wanted to look and see how Kate's health was doing, it's going to be it's going to be 6 places from the seventh. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And Uranus is going to be here. So we've got Pluto right on the cusp of it, but it seems like it's okay. I'm looking at the 6th house from her. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I know she's probably going to go through some pain, and that's going to be probably in his 2023-24 chart. But Now, Lana's saying their marriage seems like a deep partnership in a sense they got each other's back. However, I see no romance, more like a friendship vibe. I played with their. What is Harry up to this year that's going to really potentially upset William? I would like to know. And I hope that Harry doesn't do it. Harry's got to survive, though. And he can only survive based on his background, what he knows. So, what is Harry going to do? Two of Swords. Ooh. Well, sometimes Two of Swords can mean a decision. There are two things on, and you don't know what's going on. This also might be an indicator that maybe William thinks that something is happening, but he can't see it. This would be Black Moon Lilith. That would be a Black Moon Lilith where this is Prince William. He knows something's going on. He probably thinks it's worse than it is. Maybe that's the case. I hope so. Do you like my chandeliers back there? This is my palace. And I'm going to go to the chart. Let's see, what chart do we have next? Now, this is William's, his progress chart in 2011, the year he got married. And Mars, which represented the seventh house lord, this would be his wife. Mars is in the first house and it's direct. Libra is a marriage. Saturn is a marriage that carries great weight and responsibility. And Pluto is also pregnancy, so responsible for marriage and pregnancy here. This is all right here. We've got Saturn in that first house next to Mars. And again, we're going to see that kind of like long war type of thing. We don't want that to be for the couple, however. But isn't it interesting that Saturn Saturn's going to represent less. It's going to represent bones. It's going to represent bony. So it's kind of like a bony wife. I mean, I hate to say it that way, and that kind of energy he had around him when he was with his mom, because his mom was the same way. They both didn't really eat that much. So I'm seeing that was kind of around him. The first house is what he was seeing around him, and that was in 2011 when he was supposed to marry, and that was his responsibility. It was almost like Saturn in Libra. Mm, that's a marriage of responsibility, like I said, or a government marriage. Doesn't sound like so much fun, but gosh, they were so glamorous and gorgeous pictures, and they did seem generally happy. Weight loss, hair loss, eating disorders. Yes. 2 years later, Mars goes retrograde. And this is when I think she started to get probably depressed and trying to get pregnant with Pluto there. It seemed to be, there could have been a miscarriage. I'm not sure, but because of Pluto with Saturn, sometimes it can represent miscarriages. He still has Mars retrograde now. So I think this is a bride that really had a big weight that was put on her. And that's what retrograde can do. It's kind of like you're trying to be your fabulous self, but you're holding on to a 50-pound weight at the same time. Oh, and then also the kids. And so you're not at your full capacity to be you. Now, I wanted to go through this 1981 progressing, go back to my story about being a little kid and being so excited about Diana and getting married and the whole princess thing. And so this would be, the moon is famous. Neptune is a fairy tale, famous fairy tale in the news, ninth house. So they were really feeding that to us and we were eating it up. The moon is the public. Interesting that the moon is in Scorpio. So there would be some betrayals and secrets and a lot of revenge stuff. At the time, this is the time when she got married. We also have Saturn, and that's in her first house. For her progressed. So there's the government all around her. Remember in The Crown when she was like roller skating through the halls? That would be roller skating through the halls of this big castle. Jupiter is big, Saturn is an old place, and her her progressed ascendant has moved into Capricorn. So when you've got a progressed ascendant in Jupiter, oh, things are good. Things are happy, you think big, you're going to travel, you've got independence, it's really happy. But then once your ascendant goes into Capricorn, oh, it is service time. And this is what's happening to her. It's just in those first few degrees, which is the first couple of years, and it's a very young time to have all of these responsibilities. And how many responsibilities are there? There are a lot. Jupiter is a lot. Saturn is government. And Jupiter also represents the husband. And what is he? He's retrograde. So he isn't like the fairy tale. There's a square to the fairy tale. Wouldn't it have been great if she would have had her Jupiter direct and trining the fairy tale? Then it truly would have felt like a fairy tale. And that is the case for some people. Do you notice the bucket and how it is turning upside down? And what is one part of this bucket or basket? It's called a basket. Regulus. This is the kingdom. The royal kingdom is helping or is part of that basket, and the basket turns over. So thankfully, we don't have a basket with wills. Some people do not want me talking about Diana like this, but it's not my fault because we've got Neptune and the moon. It's just this public fantasy, and we bought into it and we loved it and we ate it up. But anyway, in the meantime, she's down here miserable with what's his face. And whenever you have an opposition to your sun, something is going to pull from your ego. So this was a opposition to her ego. So this union with her husband is just it's going to be a dark feeling for her, but so interesting about that basket turning upside down. So what does Will's chart look like? Well, it's not a basket, but there is a big T square here. And this is his progressed when he got married. So it's kind of like side by side here. And this T square is it's a problem. The marriage is kind of a bummer here. And they're making it a bummer. It's not because of Kate or because of Will's, but it's because of all of those rules. Saturn is rules. And look at how the difference with Diana, we've got rules, and then Jupiter's a lot of rules, and also husband's rules. But now on the flip side, we've got wife's rules, and then we've got Pluto, which is times 10 of Jupiter. So we've got lots of rules. Rules is the word for both Diana and William. And it is difficult to shake out of that if there isn't some kind of rule about his everyday life and work and service. Then there might be a rule about something that has to do with his personal life. And with Catherine, Princess Catherine being a Capricorn, she likes tradition and she's all about it. She's all about another rule. Let's put in another rule. And the reason I use this 2011 versus 1981 is because this is kind of the timestamp in a sense. This is a chart that is going to live on for many years because it is a pivotal year when they both get married. And for William, you've got a point of Thales. This is the salve of the wound, and for him, it's going to be the second house, and it's going to be part of fortune. What's going to happen? He has or will build this extremely powerful institution himself. He's going to help the institution, and he's going to build wealth, the second house. And it's going to be because of his family. For some reason, we've got South Node in there, which makes me a little nervous because now South Node means to say goodbye or to say goodbye to a home. Moon is home. It still could be saying goodbye to mom, having that on your mind. That could be it. In around 2011, he wants mom there at his wedding, but he can't. But I think that on the whole, this union is going to be financially successful and something that everyone will be considering valuable. How romantic that is, I don't know. Okay, so Shauna, you're saying I have this placement, many miscarriages before I had my first. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I never thought to look at those years. You should, yeah. Yep, it's a kingdom. It's all the rules. Can you imagine? I can't. I can't. And I think it's more rules than we can ever imagine because you really have a lot of those gray men walking around. And what's gray men? It is Saturn, gray, Mars, men, Pluto, 1,000 gray men. And they are all around you and your marriage. This is very difficult, but we've got a little grand trine here. It's like a mini grand trine. It's here. And this is Neptune. Neptune is a good thing. It helps. It's in the third house. It is it is imagination, singing, acting. It is being in disguise. And it almost makes me think, I've seen this too in other charts of his where maybe there's something about his son where they both have this Neptunian in the third house interest. And I wonder if it's maybe walking around locally in disguise. I don't know. But there's something that they do that seems secret that's really fun. And it's in the fifth house. I mean, how could you not do that in order to maintain sanity? So I hope they are. I hope they're doing something that is lots of fun with the family. Saturn rules the fourth house. So it's going to affect him personally, how he looks. He's going to also look older than the average person his age because of his hair. Yeah, that's true. A lot of short trips. This is 2012. So this is how his Mars changes retrograde. So that's going to be Kate. And remember, Saturn is somebody who is very skinny. So skinny Kate. And does it mean she's jealous with Pluto? I hope not. I hope it just means maybe they're talking about babies, and there probably aren't any more. But there is that thought about how their responsibility is that Scorpio, that real estate, that the pregnancies are very much part of the government and super weird. Do you guys have your tea? I hope. I think mine's cold at this point. We should probably draw a card. And then I want to just chat about his 2030 progression. I know it's a long time away, but I just have a comment about it. Okay, I need a little bit of change of vibe here. I think we're going to ask, is there going to be any change to the kingdom short term because of the health of Prince Charles? Any change short term, meaning maybe the next year? Oh, good Lord. 8 of Swords. Looks like there's going to be a big change. And, oh, wow. Are those 2 women? Is that, okay, she's looking in the mirror. Maybe, and the question really was, is there going to be a change? It looks like it to me. It looks like it. It looks as if there needs to be change, but there's something that's stuck. So I think that's the answer. Well, that's good enough. I hope you have some fine china. Yes, pinky's out. I forgot the pinky. Yeah, I don't know. It looks like starting in July, it's going to be very, very intense. Take a look at this. We've got Uranus at the top, which represents independence. And at this point, his Prince William, we're looking at his progress chart at January 2030. My God, so it's like 6 years from now, but we've got this big T square here. And the third house is in ALGOL. So this looks like more brother. This isn't gonna end. Their relationship is going to be the reflection, I think, of the relationship of Diana and Charles, and which is truly a tragedy. But I think we're going to see yet another long war, and The ascendant for him, it's changing in 2030. Things completely change for him in 2030. And he is going to be in the eighth house, Jupiter and Neptune. So it seems as if he is going to be king. I'm going to say probably before 2030. This definitely shows that 2030, he is way up there in Sagittarius, elevated house. Something's happening where he is getting eighth houses inheritances. But look at this Uranus here. Uranus comes down. It's a huge shock, and it has something to do with his brother because his brother is the third house. And then we look at where Venus is. Venus rules his brother. So we're looking at the third house and Venus, and it is squaring Pluto. There's a lot of jealousy, a lot of jealousy. Fifth house, Pluto, Saturn. Again, we've got just so many rules, and Harry just doesn't want to follow the rules, the family rules. He's like, not doing it. So it's going to cause some problems. Who knows what the rules will be by that time? More T squares. 2030, I think he just wants to skip over to 2031 and he's going to be happy. Interesting about the Uranus elevated when you don't have that opposition can show independence. And you see that in some of Harry's charts where he gains independence from the life that he felt was just not in his best interest. Lana, after reading Spare, I completely changed my stance on Harry. I hope that book is not the real glimpse in his personality. If it is, it's unfortunate. Interesting. Uh, thanks, Krissa. Yes. Ego. The sun. I'm not sure which part was the ego part. Sun is the ego. You want the sun to be in a good place. Sure looks like it's in a good place in the 2030. Looks like he's doing well. And then there's something that is truly evil, which is that Chiron. This is a wound, and it looks like it does not look, and it's in the ninth house. So whatever's going to happen is going to make some major headlines in 2030. But thankfully, that's a ways away. Imagine having that around your house 24/7, your whole life. And when you're growing up in this kind of environment, you're used to it. And it's like, yeah, no big deal. We've got all the tourists outside. So let's take this. We never go out that side. We always go out this side of the castle. It's just, you start to see all of these strange images and it's all normalized because you grew up in it. Will's is so much more like his mom. Yep, definitely rivals. I do think with the Spare book that it gives such an insight into the royal lives that has never happened in that type of format before. And I think generations from now, it's really going to help them understand what was happening in the lives of these royals. I think it could be something good. I don't know. I thought it was super interesting. And I did feel sympathy for him because of all of the bullying and all of that stuff. With Will's, I see that side too, totally betrayed. And so this energy that they're dealing with, you can apply to your own life or people that you know when you're seeing things that happen, these situations that are just crazy, and suddenly everything just, there's a divorce or there's people have more than the others. Now we've got Harry, he's living on the beach, he's walking around in his sandals, and his brother is seeing that and no doubt jealous that he has this freedom. These types of environments and situations are going to just naturally present themselves, and that's the energy you're going to have to deal with, which is what Prince William's dealing with right now. And I think that is also speaking to his decision making, Will's decision making, in that his jealousy is putting that ahead of everything and not being able to really make things right. Neither of them are, but he has no interest in talking with his brother. And I think that's going to be for quite some time. You got an ick. He's all about a victim mentality. Nothing is also never his fault. A lot of people think that. A lot of people do. I still have Taylor Swift, and we've got a bunch of crimes this week that we're going to cover. Definitely check the community tab, check my Instagram at Forensic Astrologer, and I'll be putting out some announcements. Thanks for hitting the like button and subscribing. And I will talk to you soon, guys. Thanks again.